This is Garson with another video showing off another build for PvP. It's this time we got the Holy Blade. So the theme here is a knight that uses holy powers, another spell blade type of build. Very straightforward to understand, but a little more nuanced when it comes to actually playing the build. So right off the bat, give a recommendation for playing this. Might seem pretty simple at first to play, but your fingers really need to get acquainted with switching around your weapons. I do have some hard swaps, but in this video we're just showing off more of a soft swap play with the weapons, and you'll see here a lot of it revolves around getting big damage with the greatsword and then finishing them off with the Cipher Pata, the pure holy fist weapon, which is, after playing this build, is pretty excellent. I don't know why that guy took no damage with that Ash of War, because it usually destroys people, but it's alright. We'll keep going. I'm sure we'll prevail against these two. That guy took a really bad time to heal with a spell. So now we're down to 1v1. He's going to use Dragon Head on me. It's not going to reach, or is it? Oh, just barely. Alright, let's see how I finish this guy off. And then we'll get right into the stats. Alright. Here we go. Goes for another Fire Breath. Punish with a jump into the Holy Blade, and he's gone. And that kind of shows how powerful this build is. Now, let's get into the stats, and I'll kind of go into more detail when we get into the clips. I'll explain a little more. So, this is the Holy Blade. Got a silly name for him. We're at level 141. We're using a bit of mind, decent amount of mind, but we're using a good amount of faith, 66 faith. Because we need other stats for our weapons. We got the Banished Knight sword for its moveset. We got the Blade of Calling. We've got Cipher Pata and a Heater Shield just because 100% block, and we can put that Ash of War on it. Some fashion. Obviously we have something to boost the Ash of Wars and our holy damage, and then poise and weight. So that's pretty much explaining the gear real quick. Now, we have the first Ash of War. This is going to give us not only a projectile, but it boosts our attack to an AR of 908, and then we can boost it even further with the Physic, boosting holy attack and whatever you want. So now we're above 1000 AR, but it's really just because we're trying to, like I always say, hone in on the elemental damage with these kinds of elemental builds, right? Now, this is just funny. You don't really need faith for this, but Holy Ground, figure use the theme, right? So this buffs your defense while healing you a little bit while you stand in it. And then, of course, we have the projectile from the Blade of Gold. And then we pull out the Cipher Pata and show the moveset a little bit, and the Unblockable Blade, which is great against shield users. I didn't run into a lot of shield users, ironically, while playing this build, but it doesn't matter, though, because Cipher Pata is really freaking good. So let's get into the clips, and I'll keep talking about the build. You just enjoy the combat. So we'll start with some 1v1s, and like I was saying, Cipher Pata right off the bat, what's so good about it is because we are specializing in holy, and it's one of the few weapons that is pure elemental damage. So even if you're using regular attacks against an opponent, it really destroys an opponent defenses, or if they have a shield, it'll just chip through the shield. Super good, but surprisingly great damage. But what we use it for mostly is to finish off a lot of opponents, because the greatsword's not that great at catching people who run, applying that pressure and finishing people off. But the Pata, there it is, that thing's disgusting. It's disgusting trying to run people down with that. So like I said, it's getting used to the fingers. If you're not used to soft swapping and changing what you're two-handed, or in this case dual wielding movesets on the fly, once you get used to it, this build is way more powerful than I thought it was. I thought this was going to be a fun gimmicky theme build, but the holy boosting, the holy damage is incredible. You have a projectile. It's just ironic because this is what I look for like a magic or intelligence build for a spellblade, with no staffs, no seals, right? We're doing the same thing here. No staff, no seals, no incantations or sorceries. And yet I get my pure spellblade, like traditional spellblade build, out of the holy damage, the faith user, right? So on that note, what's interesting about holy or faith is there's no real holy builds unless you actually build for intelligence and faith and use the what is it, the seal that scales with the both stats, that thing gets incredibly strong, and it has a bonus for golden order incantations, which are all holy damage spells. But ironically, if you play a pure faith build, you only have like 2 spells that you really play around with, unless you're willing to get the intelligence to run golden order spells. So again, why wouldn't I just use, you know, a hybrid build at that point? So the irony here is, if you play more of like an Ash of War Spellblade kind of focus character, you go in on that Scorpion and Physic that boosts your holy damage, you actually get a better like pure holy damage type of play style, and it really rewards you simply because, you know, especially the Cypher Pata, and I don't use it in this video, but you could easily use the Coated Sword. These are pure damage elements, so the more damage you do of a single type and hone in on that, it's just more powerful. And you can see it when I buff the sword and slap people with the Greatsword. Now the Greatsword, by the way, I kind of wish I had the Knight's Greatsword. It has the same moveset as the Banish Sword, but the reason I use Banish or Knight's Sword is the moveset is excellent. It's excellent. It's a little faster, or just way more effective in combat. You can just, I believe, still happens, I don't know if this is a true combo, but the jumping R1 when two-handing the Banish Sword, jumping R1 will go into a regular R1 because of the specific unique moveset of the Greatsword, the Banish Greatsword, the Knight's Greatsword. So that's excellent if we combo that with having the Ash of War giving us a projectile and a very powerful buff. And I'll talk more about Holy in the buff because this isn't new. I've done this with the Lightning. It's part of my core strategy with a lot of elemental types. But obviously, it's not like Holy is lacking power. In fact, as I said, it's very impressive how much damage you do with these Ash of Wars. Just like the Blade of Culling, you can see that I keep that on an offhand soft swap, so I can switch over to it. Like I said, the nuance of switching weapons, you got to remember to two-hand when you whip this out just to throw projectiles. Has screwed me over plenty of times to use the Shield Ash of War when I didn't mean to. But yeah, once you get used to that, you become a powerhouse. You can really adapt to a situation. And again, very impressed when I make a build. I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just impressed when I have a unique move set. There's a theme behind it that's bonus on top. But all of it comes together and makes greater than the sum of its parts, right? I have a lot of soft swap gameplay here, and I could be using other weapons, I could be hard swapping to them, but just with this setup, these 4 items, these 4 pieces in my arsenal, I've got a lot going on. And even the Holy Ground, we'll talk about that in a moment, but even Holy Ground is a really fun, useful tool that adds to the playstyle, but it saved my bacon a few times. Especially in those clutch moments. Now, between the Greatsword and the Fist Weapon, I have really powerful, slower attacks and very fast, powerful, little, like, quick attacks, plus a strong rundown. A very reliable, consistent, strong rundown. Again, it might get nauseating seeing me finish everybody off with this. It's just good. Of course, you can just make a playstyle that it's all you do, but that's a little boring, right? It's more enjoyable to have like a character with a theme and all these like abilities. I can adapt on the fly. I don't have to hard swap over to different weapons, and that's what we're able to do. Look, I'm able to just jump into a fight. They don't even know I'm there. Wipe out one of the co-opers that quick. Like, I mean, it's his fault for not investing in any health, but ain't my problem. So now I can just go hard on this host. The other guy just doesn't know what to do. He's barely helping out. And yeah, that Ash of War is great for taking trades, because again, you're going to get this incredible power from the holy damage, but also if you have the poise for it, you can really trick people into trades. They really underestimate, I guess people just underestimate fist weapons in general, but yeah, it's that pure holy damage that just screws people over. Even the Greatsword, once it's buffed, 1000 AR is kind of a lie, but it's still a lot of holy damage, or a lot of damage focused in on that holy defenses. Now, what I was saying about holy defense, is I consider it possibly the weakest of the elemental damage types, and that's because there's no real benefit to using it other than just maybe their defenses aren't going to be that high as opposed to what, physical. But really the strength with any elemental is that you can boost it with the Scorpion and the Physic. Out here in Invasions, anything goes, so we really want that high damage. And this is why I'm a proponent of elemental damages. There's fun play styles, they're unique to every damage type, and then they're very powerful if you hone in on them. With a little bit of sacrifice to defenses, sure, okay. Or, you know, you gotta focus in on mine. But, I mean, the power, you can see it. The trade-off is there. 141 isn't that crazy of a level difference from 125. If you play on 150, it's not that much of a handicap either. Don't ask why 141, I just wanted stats. It's as high as I went. I'd love to make a 150 and finish this build up. But, yeah, this build's way more fun than I thought it was. But the thing is, Holy is not... It doesn't get any benefits. It's just more like an elemental physical. Everyone's going to have good Holy defenses. In fact, the mages, ironically, have much higher Holy defense, I think because Int or Faith gives you natural defenses. So I could talk more about it, and I will in a later video, but again, I consider it the weakest of the elemental stats. There's not a lot of options. Again, for a pure Faith, this is what I have to do to run, like, you know, focus in on a Holy damage type. But hey, it's worth it. It's a crazy fun moveset. Now the Holy Ground on the shield, I never see people use it, especially in Invasions. Thought it'd be fun to play with. Turns out it was fun to play with. Right there you saw some usefulness. Really helps you tank these group fights. You don't have to have, I don't think it scales with any Faith whatsoever. You just put it on shield, you're good. But again, what it does is it gives you a little bit of health regen, and it does increase how beefy you are, how defensive, or increases your defenses by like 10-15%. Which my Physic also increases my defenses for 3 minutes. So I get pretty tanky with this build, which adds to that knightly theme or that warrior spellblade, getting in the rough of it. Right here is a great clip showing, like, I have no healing left right now. I chased this guy forever, killed one of his friends. I'm half dead right here, and I get a little time to set this off, so now I'm recuperating a little bit. Comes in, he gets a little cocky. Oh, I can finish him. And I'm gonna finish him off right here. Come on, bud. Come here. You gonna come on. There we go. There we go. A little bit of a slip up. The tankiness, even when you step off of it, you're still a little tanky. So it didn't do anything to me, and I was able to just clutch, get the kill. So I'm gonna leave it off with this really great invasion. I really appreciate you guys watching. I love this invasion. This incorporates everything about the build, and it's just a good old fashion, good old romp. So see you guys in the next one. Have a great day.